Welcome to the F.L.O.W podcast, fearlessly leading our way. This podcast is a space dedicated to spotlighting the unfiltered voices of Black women in their unique leadership journeys. I am your host, Angela V. Harris. I'm an award-winning coach, speaker, author, and champion for Black women. Make sure you like and subscribe to this podcast to stay connected to our conversations. Let's get ready to flow. Welcome back to the F.L.O.W podcast. I am your host, Angela V. Harris. In today's episode, we are joined by Dr. Serina Lewis-Everett, a proud Atlanta native and Spelman College graduate whose early experiences of not seeing Black medical professionals inspired her to pursue a career in medicine. Now a board-certified family medicine physician, Dr. Serina is revolutionizing healthcare through her boutique medical practice, Sepia Modern Primary Care, which is designed specifically for busy professionals. With a deep commitment to delivering culturally competent care, Dr. Serina's patient base spans all ages, including her oldest patient, who is 107 years old. In our conversation, she shares her journey into family medicine, practical strategies for balancing leadership and self-care, and her mission to reshape the doctor-patient relationship. I can't wait for you to meet Dr. Serina. Welcome to the show, Dr. Serina.
Hi everyone. Thanks for having me today. Looking forward to
My
getting into the deep dives.
happy to have you here and share some good information with the listeners.
Perfect. Yeah, so
Well, I know as leaders, we often prioritize our professional responsibilities over self-care, and sometimes we neglect crucial aspects like exercise and nutrition. But we know that maintaining a healthy lifestyle is essential for our leadership and also our personal well-being. So today, we're going to take a deep dive into the intersection of leadership and self-care, exploring strategies to balance both for optimal performance and fulfillment.
yes, all these things are very important for a healthy lifestyle. I think for us busy workers, professionals and busy moms and everyone alike, trying to keep some form of a healthy lifestyle while working, doing our jobs, creating businesses, is something that's important for prolonged health in life.
Right, right. And people say you can't pour from an empty cup. So if we're pouring out to other people, we can't, if we're not taking care of ourselves, we can't pour into other people.
Exactly. So just finding those little things throughout the day to make sure you take care of yourself, whether that's drinking water, making sure you're hydrating yourself, taking your vitamins, tracking your calories, every little thing that you can do to take care of yourself throughout the day goes back to your health, right? And preventing chronic diseases, even certain cancers.
Okay. Well, we're definitely going to dive more into that. But I want you to walk us through your journey to becoming a doctor. I know you're a board certified family medicine physician. Walk us through that journey.
Yes, so I'm a Southern bred woman from Atlanta, Georgia, went to Spelman College for undergrad. Shout out to my Spelmanites. And so when I was younger, my family has a history of sickle cell disease. And my oldest aunt, who actually got rest her soul, recently passed from sickle cell disease, was one of the oldest people I know with it. She was 74 years old. And
Wow.
as a young African-American female growing up, I would always go accompany my aunt to the hospital and clinics, and I would rarely see anybody that looked like me. And I kind of said to myself that I wanted to become that person that people that look like me can look up to and come to when they needed advice or help with their health concerns, and just being an advocate for them, because it is important to have somebody that looks like you in the spaces where traditionally we weren't present. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my journey. And then went to Georgetown School of Medicine and stayed involved in like diversity and inclusion at the school. And then realized I liked a little bit of every type of medicine. And with family medicine, you have to have a little knowledge of each to kind of help people on their path. And I realized I enjoy talking to people, building those relationships. And in family medicine, I could do that, take care of the whole family from 0 all the way to age 107 is the oldest in our clinic right now. And
You said
so
107?
107, and he's still
Wow.
very his right mind and everything, but he wasn't a smoker, he wasn't a drinker. It's very interesting to talk to him and get his perspective. So I knew I wanted to be that type of doctor for people, and the family medicine track kind of led me there. And then also being an advocate as a woman, being an advocate for women's health and things that impact us, and pushing out the spaces that we need to be in. I knew I was able to do that as a family doctor as well. And so that's kind of what led me here today.
Hmm. And I know you recently opened your own practice, Sepia Modern
Yes,
Primary Care. You taking the lead,
yes.
so tell us about that. That's
Yes, I'm so
amazing.
excited. So I realized there was a space. So right now, currently, the traditional medical system is the fee-for-service model, which is insurance-based, which is fine. But as all of us know in the news, United just had that hack, and we're starting to see kind of articles where practices are not being reimbursed by the insurance companies properly, and Medicare fraud. And so I wanted a space where there wasn't so much insurance involved, because I feel like insurance and bureaucracy and pharmaceutical companies kind of gets in the way of the relationship between the patient and their doctor. And so I kind of wanted to remove that veil a little bit and create a practice where I don't take insurance. Insurance is there to cover your labs and your medications, but the time with me is valuable to me, and I want to provide quality care so my patients will get an hour appointments, with the option of doing home visits and having more quality care, having more access to me. And that's kind of what made me birth Sepia Modern Primary Care.
Okay, you're really breaking the mold and blazing new trails.
I'm trying to, and to show others that it can be done. And so we can
Mhm.
have more practices like this.
Well, I commend you for that, for taking that leap.
Yes, I'm excited, very much so, to be offering this like boutique type experience to patients, especially busy professionals. That's kind of a market, young, old, whatever, busy professionals.
Mhm.
The DMV, where I'm located, is we have so many government workers and teachers and professionals. And I was like, okay, well, how can I still reach out and touch my patients and them feel like they're getting access to me, and but getting good patient education and getting answers, to their chronic diseases. So I just wanted to make sure that I could be a service to them, and I think that's what pushed me to create this practice. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Well, can you share some common misconceptions or myths about women's health that you often encounter in your field and how you address them?
Yes. So one big thing that I've noticed with especially my busy professional women, is that women oftentimes, we know we can get diseases as much as men, but I think sometimes, well, in the past, I would say decades ago, a woman, it would kind of be shunned upon to be a woman that was promiscuous or had multiple sexual partners. Now in our day and age, it's more, that's more the norm. And
Mhm.
but the STDs and STIs that are out there are still prevalent and are becoming more prevalent. I have a lot of female patients, so I'm married as well, that they're like, oh, STDs, that's old school. But we actually saw an uptick in like syphilis. Um, Chlamydia and gonorrhea have kind of always been out there, but syphilis was kind of the one I was like, oh, okay, you heard about that in the 50s and the 60s, and now it's kind of starting to kind of make a comeback. And so just encouraging my ladies, like, yes, you know, nobody's knocking you for having your sexual partners, but just making sure you're getting tested in between those partners, so where the source of the infection come from, is very important. So I find myself having those talks a little bit more, even in my older female patients, particularly the ones that live in assisted living facilities. You'll be very surprised how many of my 60 and 65 and up year old women end up with STDs that they thought they could not get. So that's been a very interesting development in I would say, the last 5 to 10 years. Um, but even more so recently since COVID when everybody was inside. Another thing is a lot of people feel like kind of going to like the weight loss thing because I do weight loss management in my clinic. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm just going to do a fat diet. I'll do my little water diet, lose my pounds, and that'll be it for my little vacation. And that's fine in knowing that that weight will come back quickly because it was not lost in the most healthy way. So just, I know everybody doesn't like to count their calories and do those things, but I would encourage it every now and then because it almost pushes you to, in some way, keep a food diary, especially for my busy ladies, right? We're out and about, we're just grabbing what we can in between meetings, and on the weekends I'm busy and I need to, and then you end up eating McDonald's one day, you eat Wendy's another day, and then you eat Chipotle. Don't get me wrong, I love Chipotle, but it does have sodium in it, which all contributes to weight gain. And the biggest thing is weight maintenance, weight loss maintenance. That's what we're starting to see. So people are doing Ozempic. People are doing. I had a friend who just did sleeve surgery for weight loss.
Okay.
The maintenance piece, keeping the weight off after you do those things, is important. So what we're finding is a lot of people are coming to the practice and they've gained the weight back, right? And so it's like, so you put your body through these things and end up in the same space you were in before. So just learning how to, maintain your weight. And some of that is like, activity, cardiac activity, strength training actually is helpful for building your muscles, and then keeping a track of what you put in your mouth every day.
I want to talk about, you talked about the food diary. So for the busy women, what are some of the tools or their apps on their phones that they can utilize that do all that for them?
Absolutely. So there's a free app called Lose It. You can go and put a plan in place, kind of similar to MyFitnessPal. There's also ones that are a little bit, you can pay a little bit of money, like Weight Watchers, which a lot of my patients like because it's based on a points system. So you're not necessarily tracking calories, but you're tracking how many points max per day. So I even did Weight Watchers getting ready for my wedding last year. And I thought it was very helpful because it's like $10 a month, but then you go in and you're like, oh, I want to go to Chick-fil-A today because everybody loves Chick-fil-A. And they're like, okay, well, the fried nuggets are 7 points, but the grilled nuggets are 0 points, right? So then you kind of have, as opposed to counting calories per se, you just get a point system going. And a lot of my patients do like that because it's not as intense. And they can still eat what they want to eat in the way they want to eat it sometimes, all in moderation.
Yeah, so it's like, is it worth it? Is it worth it to have the fried versus the grill? You have to ask yourself that
Exactly.
question in the moment.
I'm a sucker for a good fried chicken sandwich as well. But you
Uh-huh.
got to balance it out. Okay. So if you do a fried chicken sandwich one day and you saw that, you kept your food diary and said, I ate a fried chicken sandwich with fries on Monday. Maybe Tuesday I'll do a salad. Right? You can have some chicken in it, but maybe the chicken don't need to be fried, it need to be grilled. So
Right.
like a lot of people are starting to get nutritionists, which is also helpful because they hold them accountable. Accountability is important. And I find myself being an accountability person for a lot of my patients and just seeing their food diary and saying, hey, you ate, 2 slices of cake on Monday. Maybe Tuesday, let's do some fruit and veggies and kind of balance it out. So then your week calorie intake is not as crazy, right? You've balanced it out with something else. In addition,
Okay.
like I said, I'm going to keep pushing physical exercise.
So for those that may not have a gym membership, I guess like access to a trainer, what are some things that they can do?
So I know Peloton is big now. You have the Nordic track bike. You can also buy a cheap bike from Amazon. Those are like $50, right? And then just put your little bike that you can fold in the corner, pull it out the corner, watch your favorite show, and get the biking, right? Or for my people that don't like to bike, there are ellipticals. You can join. There are a lot of YMCA and some of these other community centers have free classes or inexpensive classes. I myself do Orange Theory. It's a little bit more on the pricier side, but what I do like about it is it holds me accountable. Remember, I said the accountability thing is very important. And if you're paying money per month and it's not rolling over, you're going
Right.
to go to class. Your friends are going to remind, hey, you're paying $150 a month. Go to class, right? So, but if you don't have that type of money, it's okay. You just, like I said, grab a bike, walk outside, walk on the incline. That will keep your your body slim, that what we call central obesity, that belly
Mm-hmm.
down, and that's important.
Okay.
Hmm.
How do you believe women's health intersects with leadership, in particular, self-care and overall well-being?
Yes, so I think that when you want to be healthy, you have to have a regimented lifestyle, right? Some form of regimen. You have to give yourself some type of outline throughout your week, right, to stay healthy. That's like, and I'm thinking about my people that do, they make their lunches for work, they
Mm-hmm.
meal prep. That takes thought. Feel like it's the same thing for leadership, right? You have an outline. You're following an
Mm-hmm.
outline to make your life better. You're following an outline to make your community better. You're following an outline to make if you're an employer, you're following an outline to make your employees better.
Mm-hmm.
And through taking care of yourself as a woman leader, you're taking care of the people around you, and or influencing people to take care of themselves, which to me is goes back to leadership qualities. Because you might not even be an employer, you might not even have not one employee, but if you're showing your community, hey, this is what I do, I have this regimen, I follow this
Mm-hmm.
outline, this is kind of how I achieve success, this is how I view myself as successful as a woman and in my community, it kind of transpires to being a leader. So
Absolutely.
they kind of go hand in hand. It's all about, setting something up for yourself, setting yourself up for success. And that goes in women's health as well as leadership. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And like you said, if you have to lead yourself. So you're a leader just by leading yourself, and then also by sharing your story with other people. You're inspiring people. So you're leading people by inspiring them.
Exactly. So I have to always remind myself of that. Like my mom used to tell me when I was young, like you're still a leader, whether you're not, you might not be making a speech in front of everyone, but people are
Mhm.
watching you. They're watching your actions. They're watching what you
Yes.
say, and you don't know who's watching those things, who you're inspiring to take the next step. So, it's very important.
Yeah. You never know who's watching. You never know who you are inspiring.
Exactly. And so just doing your best to put your best foot forward, right? And going back kind of to the women's health piece and taking care of yourself every day, that looks different for everybody. Your personalized plan might not be my personalized plan, but long as
Hmm.
you feel like you're moving in the right direction and giving yourself a space to grow, you're still a leader in your own right, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's all about goal
Absolutely.
setting. My goal, your goal may be, I want to lose 10 pounds in 2 or 3 months. So then you give yourself a pound a week goal. That's still an outline for yourself. That's still a goal you're trying to achieve. I think oftentimes in our generation, everybody and social media has a lot to play with this. So I'm plus and minus social media because I feel like people
Hmm.
compare themselves to people on social media.
Yep.
Um, you know, and I feel
Yeah.
like that can be toxic at times because that Instagram person's goal might not be your goal at home, but you're like, oh, I saw that they're, off their body is amazing and I wanted to be just like their body. And you haven't seen what they did to get to that place.
Right. Right.
So I don't feel like social media allows people to do enough introspection. People are looking at other people and comparing themselves. And then it becomes this big toxic bubble.
Mhm.
So I think you have to be strong here as well to know your own goals and know, okay, eventually I'll get there through this route, through this path. There's a Robert Frost has a poem called "The Road Less Taken," right? And so
Mhm.
um people that might not be that path that person took might not be your path,
Yeah.
and being okay with that, but you ultimately want to get to the same similar goal but be healthy about it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Like you said, it's about sustainability. You talked about some patients that have had the surgeries, but they've gained the weight back because they haven't maintained the healthy lifestyle. So really slow and steady is the best way. Also consistency.
exactly. 100%. And um just them learning that consistent lifestyle, then they'll keep the weight off. Because I mean, just like those patients that I said have kept the weight, that gained the weight back, there's plenty of that have kept the weight off. They
Hmm.
just were like, hey, I realized I had to do X, Y, and Z to maintain and stay consistent. So
Right.
I don't go back to where I was. I don't go back to gaining the weight back. I don't go back to feeling bad about myself, right? Because gaining all that weight back brings a whole cohort of things. That's a whole nother topic for another day about
Yeah.
anxiety, depression, and mood and how we feel about ourselves inside because of weight gain and how we compare our bodies to other people, our body image. Who are you when
Mm-hmm.
you look in the mirror and see yourself every day? Are you happy with that person? Are you disappointed in that person? It's different for everybody.
Yeah. Well, I guess at a minimum, how often should women or people be working out in a week?
Right. So the American Cardiology Association recommends about 150 minutes of moderate exercise, meaning that your heart rate gets up there, right? So I know
Mhm.
a lot of my sisters, we don't like our hair to mess up and we don't hag or hey, but you got
Yes.
to moderate, meaning that you're going to break a sweat, right?
Mhm.
Walking around the neighborhood at a little slow pace ain't going to cut it. So 150 minutes of moderate exercise.
Okay.
And like I said, even getting on that incline will make you sweat a little bit, right? Wrap that hair up, throw your hair in some braids, wrap up that pineapple bun and get to it, okay? 150 minutes of exercise plus 2 sessions of strength building, right? So you see the people with the weights or
Yes.
resistance bands. So you should be doing that. So that equates to about 3 good days of working out a week. And I know my busy people are probably listening like, well, how you doing it? How you? So a lot of gyms have 5 a.m. classes all the way to like 9 p.m. Right.
Hmm.
And I also mentioned working out at home, finding 30 minutes in your time to hop on a bike, walk around on an incline, walk on do your elliptical.
Yeah.
How I throw it in, I go work out after work. Is it hard? I have a 9-hour day. I'm seeing patients all day, but I register for my classes in the morning and I go after work. Am I tired? Am I exhausted? Absolutely. But it goes back to what you said, consistency. So
Hmm.
if I'm consistent, now I've done it so much, it's second nature. It's like when I don't work out a couple days a week, it's like, oh, something off. Because I found that when I work out, I'm less stressed. I'm
Hmm.
less snappy. I'm a Leo woman. We are who we are. But working out keeps me calm and allows me to get better sleep, which is also important and goes back to health and keeps my weight down. Right. So all these great benefits from working out. So why not? Why not do 30 minutes? Talk to your homegirl for 30 minutes. Why are you walking on an elliptical? I feel like even my ladies with kids, put the kids, put Coco Melon or something on the TV and elliptical while the baby doing that. You know,
Right. Right.
find a way. You find a way. You do.
Hmm.
And if you're doing it enough, it becomes second nature. Then it doesn't bother you as much. It's not a chore to work out. See, that's what a lot
Yeah.
of people they're like. It's hard. Yes, but it doesn't have to be the same workout every day either. You can throw some variety in there. A lot of my ladies in the DMV like solid core. That's a big thing,
Okay.
right? Solid core your body. It makes you nice and lean. It's gonna make you sweat, right? It's a little expensive, but it keeps your weight down. Helps tone your body, right? With the weights and the reformer. And then you go about your day. 1 hour and you're done. Do that 3 times a week. Saturday morning. That's a lot of my friends, they do Saturday morning workouts. They love it.
Mhm.
It's part of their routine now. Hmm.
Okay. And I guess really just starting small. Like I know for me, I used to work out in the evenings and I wasn't at a certain point I wasn't making it to the gym at all. So I had to switch up my routine and I started doing my workouts in the morning. Like you said, it's second nature. It's the first thing that I do when I get up in the morning. And at least I make sure that I get it out the way. So if I do want to do something in the evening, I've at least done my workout for the day.
Exactly. So I'm very proud of you for that, right? Because it is. I feel like working out in the morning is even harder for people. And so super proud of you and throwing that in your schedule. And I'm sure you've been doing it long enough now that it's becoming like, okay, I'm doing this a couple days a week at minimum.
It
Like
is.
I said, it gives you time at the end of the day. If you're one of those people that like to do happy hours or hang out after work or whatever, if you're busy cooking and you're a busy mom and gives you time later. So very proud of you for that. And I'm sure your listeners they're like, what she be working on in the morning? You never know. You might inspire that one.
Like I
All
said,
you need to
it's
inspire is one person
time.
at a time to do
It's
that.
time. Like I said, once you start and you kind of build up to it, it really does become second nature over time.
Doesn't bother you as much. You're not as
No.
tired.
In the beginning, it was hard. It was hard in the beginning. I'm
Definitely,
not gonna lie.
definitely,
Especially
definitely.
when that alarm clock went out the first couple of days.
But your will was strong and your inner, it goes back to your inner, right? Saying like, I want to be healthy. I want to
Mm-hmm.
maintain. That's when that's when I feel like your true nature comes out, when you're put against, when your back is against, when you're like, oh, I really want to sleep in bed. But
Yes.
so, but you fought against it, and I'm proud.
Well, in your experience, what are some of the unique health challenges that Black women face today, and what proactive steps can they take to address them?
Yes. So, the biggest thing I think is being busy, right? A lot more of us are in spaces where we're leaders, we're owners, a lot of us make more than Black men. And so we've kind of been pushed into more of that leadership space. And so finding
Mm-hmm.
the time to take care of ourselves, our bodies, eating right, taking our vitamins, working out, as me, you said. For my Black female mothers, we're seeing like a higher rate of Black female mortality. I'm sure you've been seeing
Wow.
in the news, like a lot of young Black females passing away from not being seen after at the hospitals, or a recent article I read about a 40-year-old ex-Kansas Chiefs cheerleader who died after the stillbirth of her daughter. Praying for her family, and just you see that and it makes you nervous. Like, wow, what can I do to prevent that? Advocacy, advocacy. And what I have also, a lot of more patients I'm finding are coming to me. They're like, they want to keep a minority doctor in their space, whether that be
Mm-hmm.
their primary care doctor or their GYN, somebody that they feel like they can represent them, and that knows them in some way and
Mm-hmm.
can advocate for them in those spaces, because that's
Yes.
very important.
Yeah.
We already kind of touched on the STD piece, making sure you're getting tested in between partners. And then we
Mm-hmm.
talked about the weight loss piece as well, because we're always, all of our families, especially minorities, ridden with um, diabetes, especially heart disease. So just kind of resisting that urge to want to be like, I'm going to cook a big old meal with
Mm-hmm.
chitlins, and, because I don't get me wrong, I love all those things too, but doing it more in moderation, as opposed to it being like,
Mm-hmm.
every Easter I gotta cook this, and every Thanksgiving I gotta cook this, or choosing healthier ingredients for those things, right? Um, I'm from Atlanta, so slutty vegan is a big thing,
Mm-hmm.
and Pinky has been doing well because she's created this space of like vegan soul food. Who would have thought? you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so shout out to her from my AUC sister, and so just coming up with ways to address African American minority health, and putting us in spaces that I would have never thought a vegan soul food place would have popped off. And look, I was wrong. I'm glad to be wrong.
Yeah.
I think we deserve to be in those spaces as well. We deserve to have our own, just like we broke the mold for perms. A lot of us are natural now.
Yes.
I feel like it's the same thing for organic and vegan and those type of spaces as well, right? Because our makeup is a little different. We are prone to certain
Mm-hmm.
things just because a lot of us are descendants of slaves. And so there's things that we have to watch out for. Not putting as much salt in our food,
Yeah.
increasing the risk of high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Resisting the urge to eat a lot of carbs, increasing your risk of diabetes. Making sure you're eating with coconut oil and olive oil, as opposed to the little canned canola spray or
Mm-hmm.
vegetable oil, because that
Mm-hmm.
increases the risk of high cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that is genetic. Some of that is
Okay.
genetic, right? So some of that you can't help. But for the things that you can, there are choices to be made. Not drinking as much, not drinking alcohol as much. That's also an increased risk of carbs, right? Those are empty calories.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads to what we call central obesity, which is the fat in the belly. And that increased risk of central obesity increase your risk of diabetes. So these are little, just little things to think about. Taking your
Mm-hmm.
vitamins every day, making sure you're taking 2 to 3,000 units of vitamin D, 1,200 milligrams of calcium daily, keeping your bones strong, right? Getting good sleep. That's very important for your inflammatory system, right? All these things affect us as Black women, affect us as women as a whole.
Okay.
um, so if your immune system is off, increase your risk of inflammation in the joints, right? Increase your risk of muscle pains and joint pains and stress, and that's why a lot of people now take like turmeric, right? That's a natural anti-inflammatory. So thinking about doing turmeric powder and maybe one of your protein shakes or turmeric powder in your juices that you make.
Okay.
So those are just a little few things that a few changes that me you were saying, little changes that can be made into
Yeah.
changes for my
Hmm.
ladies.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you said about advocating for your care. And I know that culturally competent care is really important, but what would you say to someone who's living in an area where they don't have doctors that look like them? How do they still advocate for themselves in those cases?
Yeah, so making sure, especially when you don't live in places or spaces where somebody looks like you, making sure that you're doing the research, obviously from reliable sources. Not, just sometimes Google will take you down the path. I have patients that tell me that all the time. I Googled it and Google said I got cancer basically. And it's like, no, you just had like high cholesterol. But making sure you're looking at good resources, NIH, CDC, right?
Okay.
Places like that. And then having a few questions to ask your doctor when you go to your doctor, right? Because doctors, we're not gods. We're still humans just like you guys. And
Hmm.
like you said, go back to cultural competence. Every doctor, the younger generation of doctors, we are taught that in medical school. But the older generation, cultural competence wasn't part of their curriculum. So you might still
Hmm.
have a doctor that doesn't really have that. I
Yeah.
have a big LGBTQ group. I have a lot of transgender patients too. Um, but I had to become more aware
Hmm.
and the type of care that they needed. So researching, right? Taking those questions to your doctor to be able to get the answer that you need. And then that way you get a clear picture of how can this provider help me and my
Yeah.
situation.
Hmm.
Yeah. So if you don't have a space where you have somebody that you feel like you can identify with, I think that's a good place to start. I'm actually very proud of my patients who come with their questions because a lot of times their questions are really good questions.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's something that I wouldn't have thought of. Like, you're right. You're right. Because at the
Hmm.
end of the day, it's a relationship. It's not paternalistic. Gone are the days of me telling you what to do. You gotta go take this medication and get out. That's not I don't like that type of medicine. And a lot of younger doctors aren't taught that type of medicine anymore. It's a two-way street,
Hmm.
right? I can give you a recommendation on things, and it's your choice because it's your body to decide if you're going to take that recommendation. Now, whether you do or you don't, you have to be okay with whatever that outcome is because you made that choice. It's all about putting
Right.
the choice back on patients. Yeah.
Now, for someone who was, I guess, looking for a new doctor in general, outside of searching, well, I guess your practice doesn't take insurance, but I guess, like, how should they identify a new doctor to work with? And I guess, like, what should they look for when they're researching the doctors themselves?
Yes. So a lot of practices are good about putting up a picture, so you can see who you're going to see. It's not just, or at least at minimum, that provider is in the practice that you're going to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can also, I have patients that look up, they literally Google black female doctors in my area, black female providers in my area. And
Hmm.
they said cohorts of things come up. I had a patient, she said that there's like business groups that have a lot of black providers in those groups. Um, Also, ZocDoc has a space for that because you have to put your picture up to be a provider on there.
Okay.
So a lot of people have found me that way at my current place. Um, I'm going to have obviously a website, so you can always go to the website, look at the person's credentials, see if you identify with them, what school they went to, what their mission is, right?
Mhm.
How do you think that they're because it's not a one size fit all, right? Because it goes back to what I said about relationship. And so you go and kind of see like, okay, is this the type of space I want? I have patients that are purely naturopaths. They don't really believe in Western medicine, excuse me. And so they look up naturopathic doctors, right? So whatever you identify with, you these days the internet makes it very easy to find that. You just have to make sure you do your research to look at the mission of that
Mhm.
provider, the value of that provider. For some people, it's a big deal where that person went to school.
Mhm.
That should be on their website or in a place that you can find at least. That's the kind of space I would start in if you're
Okay.
looking for someone. Mhm.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about your personal wellness practice. I heard you say you go to Orange Theory. What are some other personal wellness rituals that you incorporate into your life?
And so for me, I do keep track of my calories. So I have Lose It. We talked about Orange Theory.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on this thing of like no alcohol, especially during the weekdays. So I do like there's a lot of companies that have like a lot of different non-alcoholic elixirs, which are
Mm-hmm.
really good. Because alcoholism also ran in my family, and so trying to just make sure you got to know, you kind of got to know where you come from to know where you're going, and you see,
Mm-hmm.
you and if you see something in the past, you're like, I don't want to end up like that. You
Mm-hmm.
start finding ways to kind of tailor your life so you don't end up in the path that you're. Love my ancestors, love my parents, love my family, right? But we all have family members that we can learn something from, all of
Mm-hmm.
us. And so I saw that was a pattern, and I didn't want to have that pattern. So those are just a few things. Incorporating more, doing more meal prepping. I find myself meal prepping more, so I'll cook for me and my husband, and then we'll just make meals of those. Like I'll make like collard greens with um vegan mac and cheese, or I'll do like salmon, and then you make like little to go
Yep.
meals and take it to work. Um, Incorporating more salads, doing like multivitamins. Now that I'm after, I'm older than 30 now, I feel like I found myself having to do more vitamins to supplement myself, such as like there's a multi liquid vitamin that I love that you can find on Amazon, and doing that daily.
Mm-hmm.
um, Sleep is big for me. I do melatonin every night. There
Mm-hmm.
are also things like, if I know somebody was telling me about, there's like a TikTok like tart cherry drink where you do like tart cherry juice, magnesium, you put your little powders in there and it makes you sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a similar thing on Amazon called True Dreams. It comes in a can and it's like a cherry drink that has ashwagandha in it and melatonin. And so I've been doing that every night and I get great sleep to
Mm-hmm.
rejuvenate myself for the next day because I have long days. And
Yeah.
so and then as far as like mental health, just I meditate. I do sleep with brown noise. I find it relaxes me and clears my thoughts. um but I have a lot of patients that are on medication for their anxiety, medication for their depression, and just making sure that you're being compliant with your medications, because what happens is those medications take a while to come build up in your system. It takes about 4 weeks. And
Okay.
so at one point, I remember I had a patient, she was like taking it sometimes, and when she felt better, she stopped taking it. I was like, well, you felt better because the medication was kicking in. Right. So everybody's busy, everybody is stimulated with our society. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you need medication. Some people can get through without it, and some people need
Mm-hmm.
it. But I think breaking that stigma too of, everybody comes in like, I don't want any medication, but then they find they take the medication and it improves their lives, their relationships. So
Mm-hmm.
just throwing that out there, trying to break that stigma. But those are a few things that I do to get myself to a good place.
Okay. Well, Dr. Serina, before we wrap up, I have one final question for you.
Hmm.
What do you do to recharge when you aren't fearlessly leading?
So I have a little labradoodle. He keeps me very busy. So I love like just spending time with him and kind of decompressing with him and my husband, obviously, and then like spending time with my friends and family. They remind me of what I always say like my life is like a pennies in a jar, and then like everybody kind of pulls at your pennies when you're a leader and a community leader, and you're seeing
Mhm.
your employees, or you're seeing your patients, or you're helping other people. You're pulling your pennies, and my family and friends and my dog and my husband, they replete my pennies in a jar, and they fuel me for what's to come. I
Mhm.
also like to read um, beyond just medical things,
Mhm.
medical articles. I'm big
Mhm.
on like post-dystopian books,
Mhm.
um, and murder mysteries. I always said I would be an FBI Secret Service agent, super specified agent. I love me some Criminal Minds if I wasn't a
Okay.
doctor. So I love those type of shows, decompress with those type of shows at the end of the day. And that's really about it. Mhm.
Are you an e-reader, audiobook, or paper book?
I'm a paper book. I'm old school. I know I'm 35, but we still had paper books when I was growing up in the early 90s. The ebooks and stuff. They're great, right? They're good for on the go, but I love the smell of a good book,
Good.
right? And so being able to put your little tassel in there and be like, I'm gonna come back to it later. So love it. So I think people should try to. I have a goal for myself of trying to read a book a week.
Mm.
I was doing good at the beginning of the year, kind of slowed down, right? Kind of goes back to those what we call those goals for the year. But I'm going to get back on it. But a book a week. And you can be very surprised if you have a busy schedule. If you are an ebook reader, Kindle, get you a good book. Do a different topic every week. You a teacher, read a finance book. You a medical person, I don't know, read a poem book, poetry book, right? Just give yourself some variety. And it also makes you more connected with people when you learn about
Okay.
different things, right? Not just be so focused on. I know everybody wants to focus on themselves because of COVID, but that connectedness is what's missing now after COVID.
You're
So
right. It's so true. So
that's
true.
so that's my encouragement to people.
Well, Dr. Serina, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights. How can our listeners stay connected with you?
Yes, so my practice opens. Sepia Modern Primary Care opens in August in Catonsville. You can always find me there. We can do a meet and greet. You can schedule a meet and greet on calendly.com/Sepia Modern Primary Care. You can also call my number at 410-929-1335. You can email me at admin@sepiamodernprimarycare.com. That's SEPIA modernprimarycare.com. My website will be up soon. It's coming. It's www.sepiamodernprimarycare.com. You can set up time to come chat with me, see if we're a good fit. If you're in the space for a new primary care doctor, or you want to learn more about weight management or hormonal replacement, which also goes back to weight management and mood, then I'm more than welcome to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'll make sure I include all the information in the show notes so the listeners have it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Yeah. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in today. Until next time, take care. Thank you for listening to the F.L.O.W podcast. As we wrap up today's episode, always remember your unique path, your voice, and your leadership matter. If you loved what you heard, subscribe now to stay updated on our latest episodes. Take a moment to leave a review and share this episode with someone who can benefit from these conversations. You can stay connected with me on Instagram at the F.L.O.W Podcast with Angela, or visit me on the web at angelavharris.com. Until next time, take care, stay inspired, and keep fearlessly leading in your own way.